All right, here is that log, guys. I dragged it all the way down the mountain, about a half a mile away. I dragged the thing with a chain, and it's gonna go up on the mill. One of the first things being cut. I am gonna paint the mill soon. I'm trying to run a few tests, see if I need anything else on it. But anyway, yeah, I messed up my grapple bucket, and I have messed up my forks in the past. So, plus the skid steer is like way up there somewhere, all the way out there. So I got a lot of tools not in the correct location at the moment. So this thing smells like oak too. And that smells like oak to me. I mean, it looks like ash. It was all by the other ash trees. There were boring marks on the bark. It's not the straightest thing in the world, but no tree is. I think I can lay this on the deck, start cutting it, and process it for that friend of mine. So let's get to it. I'm gonna walk down here and show you what Ricky's doing. I think I'm gonna go get the forks. Yeah, why not? All right, meanwhile, I got Ricky down here. So Ricky's hanging out. He's got the skid steer bucket on it. And believe it or not, the tractor can pick up an entire load with that 60-inch bucket. Ricky, I think, usually has, what is it, like a 52 or something? And not that deep. That's got about 1/3 of a yard of capability. But I was just messing around with the driveway over there. And Ricky, you know what? Let me just show you. Don't just take my word for it. I found my chain. I've been looking for this chain all day. It was right here, right on the corner from me dragging that log through the forest with the skid steer. And then I brought the skid steer back up before it rained. And so the skid steer is all the way up on the mountain. And I got the bucket here, but I'm gonna put the forks on Ricky. I have to repair the forks, but they're functional. But anyway, let me show you what Ricky can do here. What can I grab? Maddie's checking things out. Here, there's a whole bunch of junk right here. This is just like dirt and washout and rocks and everything else. I was just fluffing up the driveway right here to the main road. Main road, it's a dirt road. But yeah, let's set this thing down. Let me show you what Ricky can handle. That was not a good demonstration. Let's get it with some of this stuff. Because I'm like off balance there. It's gonna tip the tractor over. It's gonna like self-destruct itself. All right, let's see what I can do here. Close enough, right? Is that close enough to a full bucket? I mean, it's a 60-inch bucket on a little 24 horsepower tractor. I mean, what do you want? I mean, look, it's idling too. Watch me lift this thing. No problem. No problem. I'm not even amped up here. Look. It's barely... Alright, that's like almost PTO speed. Pull it up a lot faster. Look at that. Jeez. Like, this thing's rocking too. Look at this. Look at it. good for you, Ricky. Thing's a beast. I mean, what do you want for 24 horsepower, right? Jeez. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, right? It's the size of the fight in the dog. All right. Let's, now that I just ruined my nice driveway because of you. Look, friends. Look, friends. I like raiding with Ricky. I do. Especially with that bucket. Man, looks good, doesn't it? I mean, I need some more material, but it looks good. Ooh, I gotta pick up my hoses. What's going on there? Got hoses hanging out down there. All right. So this is still that bucket from the skid steer that I welded with the dinky Harbor Freight welder. And no cracks, no chips. Cool. All right, let's go get to work. I gotta go put the forks on this thing. And we're gonna get to work. We're gonna go cut that log up on the mill. All right, here's Ricky's normal bucket. It's down here in the mud, kinda. It's got the piranha bar on there. And there's the skid steer bucket. Oh, what's this? Huh. Bavarian beer by Anheuser. Huh. Bucket, big bucket. It's kind of cool. I got a smooth one and I got one with teeth on it, the piranha bar. But these two edges are lined up. Look over here. That bucket's a lot bigger. Yeah. But Ricky's been working with that one just fine. All right, let's go get the forks. Yeah. Before I go, this is tickweed. Look at it. And it's everywhere. Let me go show you. Tick, 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 tickweed. And then we got some, that's ironweed. Isn't that pretty? It's a very deep purple color. Pretty cool. Can you see that okay? There we go. There's ironweed. And here's tickweed. That bee likes it. But, I mean, it's just covered. Look at this hillside. Isn't that cool? But that's not the only cool thing. Yeah, Ricky looks funny like that. Alright. That's not the only cool part. I'll show you. I got some gnarly apples this year, but I got them. They're coming. Well, they're here. Just gotta pick them. They're delicious when you peel them. But as far as you can see in here, guys, look at all the tickweed. And there's little bits of ironweed. Looks like something's bedding down in there. Might have some deer in there at night. Cool, huh? There's some milkweed there. Look at all the tickweed. It's crazy. This is native in Virginia. And my property has a lot of it. When all this stuff comes and goes, I'm just gonna bush hog this whole hillside, all here. But yeah, there's the apple tree. Oh, there goes the hummingbird. They like it too. Yeah, look at all the tickweed, all the yellow. And then you get the ironweed, butterflies like that. Pretty cool. I think it's coming time to trim that apple tree. It has been begging me to, well, it seems like since we moved here, it has woken up, like maybe from cutting the grass and giving it some nitrogen or whatever. But I'm just wondering what you guys have to say. And I could Google it, like how to trim an apple tree, but this thing is old. It's got a big dead branch right there, and it's got this long, like dorsal fin thing going on that can probably come down. But I mean, should I just take some hedge trimmers and trim all these branches? Because I mean, it's got a lot of fruit on it, but if I can get a close-up of one of the apples, that's not a healthy apple. Look at that thing. See it? I'm trying my best to focus it. See all the blotchiness on it? So I know a lot of you are professional arborists, so tell me, what would you do? And I don't want to spend forever on it. If I could just get like some kind of hedge trimmer and trim around and like cut the top off or something like that, maybe we could get some killer apples. Is this gonna fit in there? That's not gonna lock in. Damn, I gotta be careful, I guess, until I can fix these things. Please lock in. Somebody lock in. Yep. Hiya! Okay, that's locked. All right, I bent the snot out of this one. See it? It's bent right here. These things, you should probably just use them to pick up pallets or maybe like a couple logs. That one's fine. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's buckled down here. And that one's straight. I might just cut this thing off and lose a couple inches on the forks. I think they're 4 feet, so maybe I can make them like 42 or something. I don't know. But, and then the plates, the mounting plates are all bent up too. See that one down there? That one's not lined up. See it's all bent, like right there. All bent up, not lining up. So I might have to cut those off and whack them back into position, put them back on. Those don't get too much stress, the back plates, but here you can see it better over here. Look at that. Anyway, it's my fault. I can see the other one pretty good now. See? Yeah, it's definitely my fault. I got excited one day with the skid steer when I first got it, and really didn't think it was it could have done that, but it did. Boo-hoo. I'll fix it. All right, so oak log or ash log, whatever it is. Maybe I could just slip the forks here and on the other one, and then set it up on the mill. That's what I'm gonna do. I got a couple poplar logs there I was just screwing around with. Let's get those off first. Probably gonna get the big log out of the way, and then I'm gonna get the bigger log on the forks. That's the plan. I'm sticking to it. Goodness gracious, he's heavy too. So I could lift the thing, I just couldn't lift it high enough. Like, we're talking an inch. So I'm gonna loosen the straps and add a chain. Just for a little more weight. Why not, right? All right, right back. I got a loop on the back and then the two eyes on the front. Let's see if that works. All right, let's get the guides up. See if we could rotate this thing around a little bit. Got a big hump here in the middle, and then it dips back down like a little horseback. Either way, I gotta move it in. That is something. Little insect damage on the outside here. This is going to end up being the bottom. As long as I get a full run and it's flat, it'll sit nice and flat on the bottom. It's 16.5 feet. Forgot to tell you guys. A lot of you were asking, hey John, what about that bucket idea? Caught most of it. I guess it's ash. Man. So I'm going to weld a hook here to hold this part of the bucket at the right height. I got to figure out where the bucket needs to be though. Little trial and error here. All the way to the back. Oh.
So how'd your new mill work, John?
It was good. I really gotta I have to establish a parallel cut first, I'm learning.
Okay.
So one of these came out really wonky, a little warped, and then I looked and it wasn't flat on the bottom of the deck, the rails. If you look like the left or right side, it was like a rainbow over it. Like that's an exaggeration, but that's what it was. It was like an arc. And I think that's because I cut and went across the grain and probably didn't stay on one side or the other of the pith. So I'm gonna do a little research and experiment a bit more before we start cutting the real stuff. This was just for a friend that's using it for agriculture stuff in his barn or something. So, but yeah, turned out to be a nice, nice tree.
Yeah, it did.
And
I mean, that wood's great.
Yeah, it did a neighbor a favor. How cool are the 10-inch planks?
Yeah.
Right? Imagine having a floor like that.
That would last a long time.
A couple little Ricky projects going on, guys. I call him Ricky. It's the RK24 Rural King tractor. Alright, so this is the model before the RK25, which came out about a year ago or so. This is the 24 horsepower version. So I have the backhoe attachment on here. And I mentioned a while back that I was going to do a little video about removing this backhoe and putting it back on. So I'll try to do justice, but it's going to be a little tricky because I broke the... Well, no, I didn't. I didn't break it. Imagine that. Meg broke it. She broke the boom here. Alright, that's what we're replacing right back there. That's the cylinder and the shaft, and basically it rotates this, this pin around. This is the swing function on the backhoe. Alright, so your left and right, basically your left stick going left and right would control the in and out of this hydraulics. Alright, looking at what we have to do here, I got to get this backhoe off because I want to take the cylinder off and do a nice grind job, get it all clean and everything, and then take this piece off too. Unbolt it. It's just a pin that's bolted on there as like a lock, which I'm not too crazy about. Actually, that's loose. Look at that. Huh. Is it stripped? Oh, it's got a nut. Okay, it's not a threaded hole. Okay, so pretty easy peasy. Let's get the cylinder off. In the meantime, I'm going to try to get this backhoe off without the swing function on the boom. And for those rookies out there, this is what I'm referring to as the boom. This is your stick, and this is your bucket, okay? Removing this backhoe is pretty simple. It one time took me 45 minutes to put it on, and another time probably took me a half hour to take it off, but I could do it in a matter of probably 2 minutes now for each task. So let's get to it. Then the other thing, my seat has definitely become wobbly, so I tried to find the culprit, and this is cracked on me. So that's an easy weld. I'm going to take the seat mounts off and just weld this plate back on, and then that should stiffen it up. See what it's doing? Look. See? So I think welding that back on will definitely hold me in the seat a lot better. Getting back to the backhoe. Now, a lot of you probably think that, oh, I just put down the stabilizers or the outriggers, put those down and it'll lift it off the machine. That's super wrong. Don't do that. That's where you're going wrong. You have to use the boom and the stick. Not so much the swing functionality, but the vertical functionality of the boom. So your left stick up and down, you got to use that and your stick to basically remove this thing from the machine. The only thing holding this backhoe on this machine, let me get the mud out of the way. I was driving in the mud yesterday. There are, on each side, there's hooks right there. Let me get a zoom. All right, each side you're going to have hooks, and I'll show it to you when it's off, but they slip in right there. Those hooks just slip on. Now up here, there are 2 pins, one there and one on the other side. And there's a certain way you have to put them on, and they're just pinned in place there. See, like that? And this is pretty universal. This isn't just for the RK24. This is for most tractors with a backhoe attachment. See, there's a pin. You could see it from the other side. All right, so those you have to remove. That's what we're after. We're going to relieve the tension on those pins, and then we're going to pick up the backhoe and get it off of the machine, drive away, and then we have to turn it off and disconnect the hydraulic system. So let's get started. Let me show you. All right, first step, let's unlock the thing. I got a lock here. All right, we're going to unlock that. And there's a shaft that goes through. This is when you're traveling. They recommend keeping these in, and I agree because it puts a lot of stress on your cylinders otherwise with it bouncing around in the back. All right, now there's also a lock right here, and that's for your swing. I have a broken cylinder on the swing, which I'm going to fix, so I'm just going to leave that one in place. I don't need it to be removed. All right, now that's going to allow me to do that, and then the stick. Okay, so it's a matter of getting this thing just flat on the ground, right there, okay? Leave it right there. Now, I'm going to put the outriggers down so that they're just barely touching the ground. Done. Don't even put pressure on it. Done. All right, just lift it a little bit. Okay, so we're good right there. All right, let's move these hoses so you can see. Okay, all right, good. All right, I hope you can hear me with the tractor on. So if you reach down here, that's gonna feel really tight. You can't wiggle it loose. So you wanna take your stick here for your boom and apply a little bit of downward pressure on it. So you're gonna push it up. Watch the machine. It's gonna go into the dirt a little bit. See? Now while it's doing that, you want to push this forward until you can feel this come loose. See? Now it's loose. Got it? Loose. Now you can pull it back, take the pin out. Now these pins are tricky because there's not much room to maneuver them. All right, there's one pin. Do the same thing on the other side. Let's get this one out. Do one at a time. Do the same thing on the other side. Sometimes you get lucky. All right, sometimes you can do both at the same time. This one could be a little looser. Let's see, let's move the boom around a little bit. All right. There we go, that's super loose now, okay? Take the clip out, take the pin out. Just put them right there. Now, nothing, at this point, nothing is holding the backhoe to the tractor except for those hooks that are just sitting there with gravity. So this is gonna feel really weird. But what you wanna do, now that the boom is pushing down, you wanna pick the boom up. The boom is extremely heavy. This attachment weighs 900 pounds on this machine. So when we pull back on the boom here, it's going to take this section here and lift it off of those clips that are holding it on. All right, so, but it's a really strange feeling because you're pulling back on it, but instead of the arm coming back, the base of it is being pulled off. And it's strange, and it's also kind of difficult because you're pulling on this handle backwards and this whole thing is moving away from you at the same time. So let me demonstrate how it is. All right, hopefully you can see that, guys. Sorry, I'm trying to work with what I got here. So I'm gonna pull back. That's gonna essentially bring the boom back to me. And see? They've come undone here. All right, now we can put our outriggers up a little bit with these sticks here. We could go left and right. We could shimmy it up a little bit. It just raises it up a little higher, okay? And now we could do more of that boom, pull it back and pull it away from the machine. Nice and easy. And see what I mean? When I pulled that this way, look, so you have to kind of follow this thing because it's on a pivoting hinge here. All right, just leave it like that. Now, to make it even more awkward, what you got to do now is drive away. So you need some room to disconnect these wires and everything and get the machine out from underneath it. So at this point, drive about, I think you want to drive about 2 feet or so. So just watch behind you while you're doing it. Make sure there's no hydraulic hoses that are still connected. Don't go fast. Have it in low. All right, you can go quite a distance. Just don't stretch your hoses here. That's more than enough room, okay? There we go. All right, at this point, I'm gonna shut her down. Now, some people, they relieve the pressure at this point. I don't, I just leave it like that. These booms will eventually just settle down. It'll rest on the ground. If you want to put some cinder blocks underneath there, you could do that. I just don't even bother. I leave it like that. Another tip, do this the first few times in a nice wide open space. Don't be going up to your barn up there and putting the tractor away and it's a tight space and like taking this thing off, because trying to line it up when you want to put it back on is a whole other challenge. We got these are the hooks that rest on these little pins here, okay? So when you go to put this thing back on, those slide on first and then you got to line up these things. So let's disconnect those hoses. What I normally do with my hoses too, there's You can't get these wrong either. Don't worry about it. There's a male and a female and usually a smaller one too. I think that smaller line is a return to tank, but I'm not sure. There is a check valve on it, so I'm not really sure what that third line does, because the backhoe functions 100% with just these two large lines. Now, you can, if you're so inclined, hook these things together and think it's gonna like equalize the pressure while this thing is sitting there and the sun is beating on these hoses and then it gets cold at night. You could do that. That's fine. All right, this is the last one. This is the smaller one, and I think that's just a return to tank. I kind of just prop them up out of the way. I use these to store them on. All right, cover those things up. Now you have to hook these two on the tractor together, and that would give you your third function arms. These here, that would allow those to function. If you leave them disconnected, they're not going to function. Okay, they go together nicely. If these things don't go together nicely like that, you could simply take a little hammer very gently and just tap this nipple until it relieves the pressure. Same thing with this one. This one is the female, and it has a pin inside of there, so if you line up like a small peg or something like that, you could pop that loose, relieve the 3,000 pounds of pressure in this line, and then you can hook them together easily. So that's another little tip for you. All right, I have no advice as far as how to manage these wires. There's a hook here for that purpose, but it's useless. Don't use that. Now, when you take these off, if you're going to, just take note at what way this is positioned and where the arms are located, on the outside, on the inside, because you go to put these things back together and you're like, huh? So just take note of that. All right, with that said, I'm going to remove this cylinder and get working on it, and then we'll go back to putting this thing back on. All right, that's what we got to take off, guys. Looks like I just have to release this screw, which is acting like a lock for this pin. And the pin just goes through here to the bottom. Now this thing is one end, looks like it's welded right to the hydraulic cylinder. So if I get this thing loose, take the pin out, then I could pull it back here and hopefully just disconnect those two hydraulic lines. Yeah, since this end is already disconnected. So I'll get the cylinder out of the way, and then I'll come over here and disconnect this one, and then we'll clean it up. Okay, it's pretty loose. Alright, about to get dirty. Undo these hydraulic lines here. I'm just going to label this hose so that I know which one goes on the back. There's our little devil. Let's get the other piece off. There it is there. We're going to remove this. What do you think, guys? 15? How about 14? Not even close. How about 12? Oh yeah. Lose track of stuff. Alright, that's that. This should push through here. So now this piece. Well, I'm going to be grinding all this down. I guess I'll remove the grease fitting first. That felt a little sloppy to me. Like it's been worn out. Like, look at the difference in size. That's pretty significant. It's like it needs, like, it just, I think this is just wear and tear on this. Like, that's a lot of movement for that pin. That should be pretty tight. Not much I could really do about it. I mean, unless you want to put spacers in there. But, jeez. No wonder there's play in it. And these are mushroomed out a little bit, the lips on them. So this shaft has definitely put some serious pressure on these, and that's like a 1/2 inch plate. Alright, oil's dripping out down there, in case you're wondering what that sound is. Alright, there's that piece. That's the end that broke off. And here's this piece here. Not too pretty. So here's what I'm thinking. I think if I'm gonna just flap wheel all this off, grind it off, Same thing here. We'll start clean. Just try to get this just off. Okay, so it's just the cylinder here. This piece, I think what I'm going to do is kind of remove it and bevel it too, so like I'm working toward the center. That way I could build up more weld. Remember, I only have that MIG welder, the 35 wire. So I think I'm going to, instead of like putting a flat surface up against a round surface, I'm going to just kind of not go to like a pencil point, but just make this into a point. And then I could build up wire and then eventually flare it out. It'll be more, because this is the problem. I mean, it just never even touched that. Someone just globbed a bunch of stick welds on there or something. I don't know. These welds look good though. Look at those. They're not bad. So, all right. All right, let's get to work. Let's grind it off. Take the little grease fitting off. That way I can clamp this thing down. Flap wheel! Now you're a grinding wheel. Oh, I got 2 grinding wheels on? What was that? All right, let's see if I can muscle this off. Yeah! Flap wheel. Yeah! Can hold it. I'm not going to take out the ram. I think I'm asking for trouble. I'm just going to weld it and then pay attention to how hot it's getting here. Maybe I need to stop and then weld some more and stop. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
Could put a cool rag here. I just don't want to take out all these seals and everything, and I just don't think it's necessary, and I don't want to.
I don't blame you.
Not bad, right, Meg?
Let me see.
I mean, whatever.
It looks pretty good to me, John. Try not to break it again. Thanks for fixing it.
We'll see if it holds. I did it slowly, like I built it up slowly with the wire.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I know it's solid all the way through. I just don't want to chase these little pits that are like a millimeter deep. It's like you're taking away strength, you know?
I do.
So, that's fine. It's flat. I'll just prime it and throw some paint on it. And that'll be that. Just lob it on there.
Come on, the satisfying edge. See it. Nice.
Give me your guess. Give me your guess.
That's 9mm.
Nope.
10?
Yep.
Oh, I was gonna say 10.
Is it 11?
Oh, see, you don't know.
Oh, man. Tell me it's 12. Maybe 12. It's a 12er.
We were both wrong.
Yep.
What's that?
That's probably a safety switch. So when
What if the seat falls off, the tractor turns off?
It tells, it makes
Oh, the weight.
that.
The weight
There's a
thing.
switch in there that I hate.
Yeah.
Oh, I could disable it right there. Let's put those 2 wires together, it would be solid. Yeah, it won't let you start the tractor if
you don't have weight in the
sometimes
seat.
I just want to start the tractor to warm it up, you know?
Sometimes the girls aren't heavy enough to
That's true.
activate the switch.
All right, white to white, black to black. That's a good one.
John will tell Clara to go start the tractor to warm it up.
I can't do it.
She can't do it because she doesn't weigh enough.
What's going on? Holy monkeys. Ugh. Wow. Someone mad put that side on.
Oh boy.
That's heavy. Heavy. Ow!
What happened?
It landed on my foot. Ah!
All right, that went smoothly.
Yep.
Where'd that nut go?
Right, bar.
Like you should weld a washer to it. Reinforce that.
This?
Yeah, where it broke.
It's pretty thin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, fix it and then put a washer on it and weld the washer so it's thicker.
That's a nice bolt.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that's a nice idea.
That's a nice idea, Meg. To be welded on there.
See, I feel like that's just going to break again. We need something.
You need to glob it on there.
Yeah, you need to reinforce it.
Okay.
Oh, look at the puppies. You know it's starting to get cold when they start laying next to each other.
I gotta get a little bit in there. I gotta hit these. These are galvanized. So I gotta hit the edges. Otherwise it won't weld. When I say glob something on there, glob it on there. Tie up the Titanic to that. That's right. I'm gonna clean the dirt off. Dirt's getting sprayed on too. Oh. What's up, Autumn? Ooh, it's a little too hot for paint still. That'll add to the texture.
Watch your fingers. Oh, we gotta plug back our things in. We could do that after, right?
Sure.
You're good. Cords.
That's so much better. Good deal. Okay, let's see. That's better. Before it was very sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you want to do this backhoe?
Yeah.
Put it on. The current position of this hydraulic cylinder is going to not be friendly when I... Oh, let's not rest it on that, John. I have to compress it. I'm thinking some oil is going to fly out somewhere.
I'm gonna step back. Oh.
Alright. We can just pull out what we need. That went well.
It looks so clean compared to the rest of the tractor.
Yeah. Silly, that's the pin. This is what's holding that on.
Really?
It's really silly. I don't like this.
What in the world? So there's only a pin on one side? That keeps it from going up or down?
This.
Yeah. That's weird.
It's just a shear thing. It like this does nothing. It just keeps the pin there.
Mm-hmm.
No stress on this like screw thing. I don't know. I just think it's an awful like cheap design. You know?
Mm-hmm.
You agree?
Yeah, I think it's strange too. All right.
It's coming out the bottom too, so that's good. Okay. Why did that get loose? Holy cow, did you hear that?
You know how we talk about ash trees? That was one falling across the street.
Yeah.
They just fall out of nowhere. You hear them every so often. It's not even windy.
Okay, that's tight. All right, we got to hook up our hydraulic lines. I labeled one yellow, so I know that's this one back here.
That was smart.
Because otherwise these two lines look identical. Yeah, this one's just got to be out of the way.
Does it really matter?
No,
well,
it doesn't, but your controls
control
would be backwards.
Yeah.
Have your backhoe off this one.
Hold on. Say it again.
When you have your backhoe off, the one that's facing the rear of the tractor, the one we just put back on, it's a very good idea. Whether it needs grease or not, just do it, because you really can't get to this one when the backhoe's on the tractor. Okay.
John, you going to show us how to get this thing back on?
That's the point we're at right now. So now, unlike taking this thing off, the first thing you want to do is make sure it's as high as possible, because you're going to scoot the backhoe or scoot the tractor underneath here, and you don't want this rubbing up against the chassis down here. So make sure your hoses, all that is clear. Get close to it, and the first thing you're going to do is reconnect the hoses and then get this thing into position. Looks like I'll be able to clear it. Step one, get it back far enough so you can connect the hoses. But you also want to make sure that you relatively lined up with the backhoe. If you're crooked, if you're out of whack some way, it's going to be very difficult. So try to get it as perfect as you can, and then hook up the hoses. Want to turn it off because you're going to be disconnecting the tractor's side hydraulics. So this, you can't mess these up. Usually it's like you look at this one, and the only one that's going to fit it is the small 3/8 inch female. Okay, that one connected. And if I'm wrong, guys, let me know. I think this is just a return to tank. This one. Like it's a redundant hose. I don't know. All right, let's disconnect these. You can tell if it's going to give you a hard time or not if you just put your finger in here and push that nipple. If it moves a little bit, it's hard to push in, but if you can push it in and its corresponding buddy moves, you'll be able to connect these. I usually just pull it back a little bit and push it in and let it go. This one, let's feel it. That one moves. And that one moves. Now, I mentioned before knocking these things. So this, I usually put my connector right there, and this makes a very nice little striker. This is the pin to the backhoe. I line this up right there carefully and just tap it with a hammer until I see a little fluid come out, and then you could feel with your finger or just push it in with this, and you should get movement. That releases an amazing amount of pressure. Sometimes that much pressure is just trapped in there and it can't go anywhere. So you have to open that up, and it just spits that oil out a little bit. So watch your eyes. Okay, this one goes in nicely. Meg, remember that when I couldn't get that connected that one day? Mm-hmm. I was grunting and moaning, and it's just so funny, like the things that you learn that are so simple.
Yeah, I wanted to mention something. I don't know if you mentioned this earlier, but whenever you take the backhoe off, make sure you do it in an area where you have a lot of room. Yep. Because there was one time we had it in the barn, and we were up against a wall in the barn, and the rigger, is that right? Outrigger? The outrigger, yeah, the outrigger was against the wall, and we didn't have enough room to maneuver, and that day was not fun at all. No. I think it took us 3 hours to get the backhoe back on, and it was very frustrating. So make sure that you have a lot of room to maneuver.
I said 45 minutes. Meg said 3 hours. So
it
probably
was
like an hour and a half.
It was bad.
All right, guys, another pro tip for you. Buy a trampoline, because when you do, you get this cool little tool that stretches the spring so you can install it. And I keep this on my tractor right here. I just slip it right in here. Show it, Meg. I put that little tool right in there. It fits great. And what this does, I don't know. I mean, I'm almost 40, but whenever there's like pin connections or something like that, like this right here, instead of like just taking your fingers and like trying to muscle it off, this thing, I just slip it on there, and pull it off very simply. So that's a little,
it really is
little John Pro tip.
A great tool, but you have to buy a trampoline to get one.
Yes, and another use for it, which Meg, I'm not sure you're aware of, this is putting the backhoe back on. What you're going to want to do, these notches here have to line up with these guys here, these shafts. Now when you're driving around, you're going to get mud back here. It's just the nature of the beast, especially if you have a box blade or something like that on the back. Reach this guy in there and make sure that is all cleaned out, because you'll get rocks in there and you'll be trying to put this thing on there and it's not going in because there's a rock in the way. So do that to both sides before you even start up and try to line this thing up. I got a lot of goop in here.
Goop, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of goop, he says.
Yep. Okay, so we want our pins ready and our clips ready. Now we are ready to go. We're hooked up.
You gotta put your tool back.
So this thing is ready to go. I'm gonna hop in here. I'm gonna raise the riggers, and then I'm going to make sure that I push the boom forward a little bit. So watch. It's all about this here, guys, and it's gonna be really awkward because you push this boom forward. That pushes the boom forward, but it's gonna send your controls to you. So when you're going like this, it's gonna start coming at you. So be ready for it. You're not gonna barely do this and start moving. This, like, you know, it's a difficult thing to get used to. Just know when you move that whole thing's gonna move. It's a little unnerving, but. I usually hold the hydraulic hoses, make sure nothing's getting pinched. And I'm gonna go backwards. All right, now I'm lined up back there and on this side. Now the next thing you want to start paying attention to is where these are going to fall. These, it's like a C shape. It's got to come in between here. And that's where your boom comes into place. All right, I'm essentially going to pick up the whole thing. It's going to lean at me. Meg, watch this.
Okay, hold on, let me
Now
back
this
up.
is what I'm talking about. When you push it forward, this whole control panel is going to move at me. You got to be ready for it. See that? Did you see it? Those just lined up nicely. Now I'm going to put my outriggers down to let it drop into place. And just mess with the boom, up and down until everything lines up. You should be able to basically get those outriggers so it's not holding up the machine anymore. Okay, I'm still on the boom though. It's actually on the bucket, but you know what I mean. I'm using the boom. So now take one pin, this is very important. The one with the handle goes on the inside. You put that through and still use the boom until you get it loose and you're able to slide that through. Like that. Get right here, Meg. See how it's in there now?
Hold on, now show me.
You want it loose like this. So put it right like that. Take this pin. I put it about a little bit of the way in like that. Just click it and then push it in the rest of the way. I've seen guys put this the opposite way and they can get it in, but it's nearly impossible to get this pin out. So make sure your handles are on the inside. Now, if you get lucky, now that one's kind of tight. I'm just going to wiggle the boom around a little bit. I'm going to push it forward, pull it back. There it is. There. You got to wiggle it around while you're moving the boom, and it'll loosen up for you. If it's being really stingy, you can also put down the outrigger. And that did the trick. That even made it more loose. So now do the same thing with the other side. Okay, and that pin's on too. We are ready to go, guys. We're gonna raise our outriggers. Now, don't ask me what to do with these cords. I have no idea. They're usually just up my legs. All right, those go up. I remember that our swing function's locked still. This pin. So we gotta get rid of that. Okay, moment of truth, Meg.
Hold on, let me move.
Is it gonna swing?
It's gonna swing.
How about that?
It's swinging.
Look at that, Mom! Look at him go! Gotta wait for that grease to work in.
Yeah.
Alright guys, that's looking good. Fixed.
Good job, John.
So that went very smoothly. Sometimes you back up and you connect your connections and all that stuff. Your hydraulic lines are hooked up and you go to line it up and it's just off a little bit. It's like the backhoe is not exactly parallel with the tractor. It's like off a little bit. What you could do while your bucket is on the ground, use that boom, but use the sway function. So your left and right control on your left stick. And you can basically just kind of nudge the whole backhoe in the direction you want it to and get it to plop into place. But if you back in correctly, take the time, line up everything right, you should just be able to use that boom up and down and get the backhoe on. The whole trick is using the boom. Take that paint off. I can twist this, so that's no problem. Okay. Good one, John. Good one.
It's because I showed up.
Might as well just put it on the vise at that point now. Here, let's just do it loose like this. I just don't want it resting on that ram.
You're always doing great until I show up.
I know. Now this is all dirty.
Are you coming back? This is boring footage.
Yep.
What happened to my wall? That looks like a John right there.
Sorry, honey.
What did you do?
I weed whacked it.
You didn't do that with a weed whacker.
I probably just did that with the seat.